Hey VC, it's Joel coming at you from Planet 13, and this is my July 2020 vinyl haul. All these albums I bought online, for the most part from Amazon, so they're all brand new. They all came wrapped up and such. And my immune system sucks, so I really haven't ventured out into the vinyl store world yet. Most of the shops in my area have recently reopened, and they're doing quite a great job at keeping everyone safe. They have strict measures in place, whether that be a mix of how many people they let into the store, limited hours so they can sanitize everything in between people coming in and out, or just personal protection equipment for their staff and whatnot. I do have a week off in the end of August that I do plan on going out and buying some used vinyl or supporting these record stores, and I'm pretty excited for that. For the past 5 months, I've only gone out to grocery stores. If you look at my phone, I get a notification from Google once a month through the Google Map app, and it's just been one big red dot, which is the actual grocery store that's at my house. It's just my house and a 2-minute walk to this grocery store. So that's all my map has tracked me as, and that's kind of funny. So I'm hoping, in August when it sends me that update, I get, one or two more dots on my app. So the first album I picked up is Weezer's Pinkerton. This is their second album that followed up the hugely successful, I guess they call it the Blue album or their debut album, which had the big hits Buddy Holly and the Sweater Song. This only had one, I think, radio hit called El Scorcho. I remember picking this up on CD when it originally came out and I enjoyed it, but it was a little less playful than you would expect from Weezer, and I think that's why it did not do well commercially. Here's the back of the album along with the back of the inner sleeve. Next album I picked up is Our Lady Peace's fourth album. Probably my favorite. It's called Spiritual Machines. It's a concept album. If you want to know more about it, it's on Wikipedia. I don't want to go about explaining it because I don't think I could. But I remember picking this up in December of 2000 when it came out, so I could get that nice, I just showed the CD beside it, that nice kind of glossy black CD case packaging that looks rather neat. And here's the back of the album and just the inside of the CD. I just wanted to show that. And I just wanted to show the album booklet and the CD booklet just to kind of compare them and how they recaptured everything. Cool artwork. Kind of reminds me of what Radiohead was doing at the time with their albums. You get the lyrics here, you get some interesting artwork. It's really cool to look at, and I'm glad they included all this in the album. Sometimes you buy albums and there's just nothing inside, and it's kind of a disappointment, but here you get it all. Another interesting little fact about this album is that Matt Cameron drummed on a couple of the songs, and Matt Cameron has drummed in Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. And here you get the custom labels, and this is just the back of the inner sleeve that kind of mirrors that. Next album I picked up is Black Sabbath, The End. So this is just the last concert, and I use that in quotes, from their show on February 4th, 2017 in Birmingham. Of course, you don't get Bill Ward, the drummer off the classic albums, during this. I guess there were disputes. The band said Bill Ward wasn't healthy enough to play, and Bill Ward argued it was more about the band not willing to shell out the coin that he wanted. I think Bill Ward and his drumming contributed a lot to Black Sabbath. He's probably become my favorite. I go through the stages where everyone in this band is my favorite, but Bill Ward in the recent years has become my favorite just because his drumming is just so unique. It's just as unique as Tony Iommi is, or Geezer, or Ozzy are with their talents. So it is a shame he did not play, but the drummer who drums does a good job on this album, of course. And this is a gatefold album. It comes on 3 LPs, so I'm glad they didn't go with the trifold. As much as trifolds are great to look at, they're a pain to kind of manage. There's always 1 or 2 albums kind of falling out as you try and wrangle the albums inside. Some great songs on this live LP. I used to kind of get frustrated with Ozzy because he would never do any deep cuts live like many of my other favorite bands do. And it was kind of written off as Ozzy having his kind of issues and having to read off a teleprompter. But now that I'm older, I totally get it. I can't remember anything anymore. When you hear these songs live, there are actually no complaints that you didn't hear some deep cut. That second that War Pig starts to play live, it's just a phenomenal experience. And that's the main reason I bought this album, is that when I saw them on this leg of the tour, I heard War Pigs and I just went into a trance, and I think everyone in the audience sort of did. Everyone just had their eyes glued straight ahead, not really focusing on anything, just kind of getting into the groove of the song, just nodding their head along. It was just fantastic. And you get some custom inner sleeves showing the band. You got Geezer and Tony, and then you have Ozzy. And every LP has this custom label along with the blue colored on the vinyl. Next album I picked up is PJ Harvey's Dry Demos, and this is a reissue. She's kind of going about it right. She's putting all her albums on LP, and she's doing one a month. So she does the album along with the demo. I'm not too familiar with PJ Harvey, but I'm going to pick up all of the albums, I think, or at least I aspire to. And I also picked up Dry, which are the finished and polished songs. And it has some similar artwork to the demos, but you also get this nice custom label on the album itself. And I do believe it's the same track order for the demos and Dry itself. If I were to choose between either album, I can't. It's hard for me to say. It's my first time hearing both, so I don't have that 20 to 30 year history of listening to either. And right now, I kind of prefer the demos. If I would choose between the two, I'd probably get the demos, but that's just by a hair, I'd say, because both albums are excellent. Next album I got is a little more mainstream. It's Aerosmith's Permanent Vacation. This is their comeback album in the sense that this is the album that made them huge again. The album before Done With Mirrors, I would say, is their actual comeback album because it's the original band once again together. But this is where they saw the hits with Ragdoll, Angel, and Dude Looks Like a Lady. And this album, it kind of saw Aerosmith working with outside writers. They're bringing more outside writers into this. Desmond Child is, one of the big writers on here. This album I was putting off for a while. I had it on cassette. I played it a lot in the 80s, the late 80s. So I knew every track off by heart, and I never had it on CD. I had some Aerosmith greatest hits compilations that I'd listened to, and a few of these songs are on there. This album was one of the last remaining Aerosmith albums I need to get. I still need to get Rocks to complete my collection, but getting Permanent Vacation brings me up to the 2000s with Aerosmith. Next album I picked up was On Through the Night by Def Leppard. This is a recent reissue. Very happy to get this. I never heard it before other than just streaming it, and streaming it sometimes doesn't have the best quality, so it's nice to hear this on vinyl. And wow, I am kind of really amazed by this album and how it escaped me for so many years. This album is fantastic. I can kind of see why many people were upset with the direction they took with Pyromania and Hysteria, as this album is just a little more rockin' and a little more sincere. This is basically Def Leppard's debut. I know they had an EP out before this, but they came out of the gate strong. I can't believe how awesome all of these songs are. I think my favorite might be Hello America, but Rock Brigade is kind of awesome too, and Wasted. And oh man, every song on here I love. And on this album you get the Vertigo kind of UFO label, which I appreciate. I think it looks rather cool. And then I picked up High and Dry as well. For both these Def Leppard albums, it cost me 18 Canadian dollars, which works out to be roughly 12 American, so very affordable. And this album I was familiar with. I had this on cassette as a teenager, and I always loved it, and I love it even more on vinyl. The only thing that kind of disappointed me with this album is it doesn't have that classic lock groove where No 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 would repeat over and over and over again. It just ends, and as a vinyl collector, I wish they'd maintained it. It just would have made my day, and I think modern fans would have appreciated that surprise as well. So the next album I picked up is Revenge of the Nerds, and this is on Pocket Protector Brown. I always liked Revenge of the Nerds. I know it's kind of cringy now. The Nerds, they put secret cameras in the girls' change room and such. This album, I'd say it's kind of derivative of a lot of 80s music. Like you're listening to it and you're like, that sounds like Devo, but it's not Devo. Or that song sounds like the Go-Go's and it's not the Go-Go's. But it's still a fine album and it is full of catchy songs. I always felt too like the song Revenge of the Nerds. I always thought it was Weird Al singing that as a kid. But it's not. It's a different band. I picked this up because I was kind of perusing it on Discogs and I saw it for cheap on Amazon. And when I played some of the songs, I just kind of remembered how they fit into the film and how I love these songs. I really like the droll Are You Ready for the Sex Girls song. It's sung rather dry and to comedic effect. The final album I picked up is Ennio Morricone's Giallo Criminale. This is just a mixed blend of mystery and crime genre soundtracks. This came on yellow vinyl and is limited to 499 copies, and it's from Rustblade Records. When I picked this up, I pre-ordered it, and it came the day before Ennio passed away. So it was rather bittersweet when I played this because I played it upon the day I found out that he had passed away, which was the following day. So that wraps up my July haul. Until next time, cheers.